Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that ruled well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson real fast, which is dealing with, you have a couple different conflicts that's, stirring up and everything is heating up. And I remember a while back, I wound up making a statement, something similar to this, whereas as you look at, because, you can, we'll kind of pass through them after I read this here article. But as you can look into a lot of these different things, you have, like, let's say, for instance, North Korea and South Korea, all right, kind of having some tensions that's boiling up right now. You have China and Taiwan that has some situations that's boiling up right now. And you also have the situation in Ukraine and Russia that's going on right now. All right. But then, for most people, they would just, look at certain things. If they were paying any kind of attention, they would look at these things like, man, what's going on around the globe with all these wars and rumors of wars? Why is everybody going at war with each other, and what's the problem? But when you dig a lot deeper into all these situations, what do you have at the core of all these things, man? All right, America's got their hand in these other nations' back as like a puppet. And we're going to get into a statement that was said down here in this here article. And when I was speaking to somebody about this, as far as their remarks of, how, Biden was speaking on this situation. I'm like, hey, if you remember, it's exactly the same thing that Biden said with the Ukraine situation. And when Ukraine popped off, what did they do? They backed out of that situation. All right. And, they keep stirring up these here wars, but it is going to ultimately lead to their demise. All right. So it says China sends solemn warning to the U.S. Military drills near Taiwan are meant as a message to Washington. Beijing says China has recently conducted a series of military drills near Taiwan to demonstrate to the U.S. its determination regarding the self-governed island, a military spokesman said on Wednesday. The Eastern Theater Command of the Chinese People Liberation Army held combat readiness exercise and other training operations in the sea and airspace around Taiwan, Colonel Shi Yi, a spokesman for the military command, reported. He said that the drills were a solemn warning directed at the U.S. regarding the issue of Taiwan's proposed independence. All right. So, people would think, the way that the news and the media spin these things is that, you have these big bad countries that's picking on these little bitty countries. And in the case of, North Korea versus South Korea, a nuclear power countries versus a non-nuclear power country, being that North Korea has nukes and South Korea don't have nukes. But in reality, what's really going on is that you have the so-called little guy, right, being propped up by big old America. All right. That's over here pushing up against and throwing rocks at the we'll use for an example in Russia, Ukraine, throwing rocks at the bear. All right. It's not that, Russia decided to just storm down on Ukraine. All right. No, it was America that's over there throwing rocks at Russia, and Russia was posturing to defend itself. Same here with the China and Taiwan situation. It's not that China's trying to stomp down on Taiwan or nothing like that, but America is on the side of Taiwan throwing rocks at China. All right. And if you, read a lot into the North Korea, South Korea situation, as we'll touch on one of the articles briefly, but, the way they worded is that, North Korea keep testing missiles and everything else like that. But they're not talking about how North Korea is responding to what America's doing over there. Like, hey, man, if y'all don't stop, same thing with Ukraine. If y'all don't stop building up troops on our border, if y'all don't stop bringing y'all equipment over here, we're not going to take it lightly. But see, America's not listening to that. So what do? And, all right, we're going to start testing some missiles to show y'all we can hit y'all, just to prove to y'all we're not playing. But guess what? America's using that and spinning that as, look at them provoking us. Look at them doing these things to us, man. All right. It says, let me see where we at. It says Chinese troops are determined and capable of thwarting any interference by external forces and attempted separatism in Taiwan. The official added. Again, they're taking a defensive stance. The island was the last stronghold of the nationalist forces during the Chinese Civil War and had its own government that does not answer to Beijing ever since. The Chinese government considers Taiwan to be under its sovereignty. The U.S. has supported the island's autonomy, but has adopted a strategic ambiguity stance on the part of its rapprochement with Beijing in the 1970s. For decades, Washington has been committed to helping Taiwan defend itself from a hypothetical attack, but has not explicitly promised to use its own military to do so. So two things in there. They keep saying, look, well, hypothetically, if China decides to attack y'all, we got y'all back. We got y'all back. We got y'all back. But China, like, bruh, we're not trying to go over there and attack them, man. Like, that's really our people to begin with. You know what I'm saying? They decided to just break up, but we're not finna attack them. That's our people. They right there off our coastline and everything. But yet America saying, nah, we're going to send y'all some troops. We're going to send y'all some weapons. We're going to be right there for y'all just in case. And what are they constantly doing? Provoking them, all right? It says Washington has been committed to helping Taiwan defend itself from a hypothetical attack, but it has not explicitly promised to use its own military to do so, right? Key word. President Joe Biden appeared to depart from the stance during a press conference in Tokyo on Monday when he said the U.S. would use force to defend Taiwan when asked by a journalist, as has been in the case with a number of recent statements he has made on various issues. His administration walked back on the president's remark and said the U.S. still maintains a strategic ambiguity on Taiwan. But again, you know, you also had there was another statement where Joe Biden said that they would use military force to help Taiwan defend itself against China. And it's just like, wait a minute. All right, y'all got to listen up to what this man is saying, because he said the same thing over in Ukraine. And now look what happened. Once they done puffed up the smoke up Ukraine's ass, where Ukraine started to attack Russia, all right, tried to invade Russia, and Russia started attacking their ass. Where was the U.S. Troops? Where was the U.S. Stepping in at that scenario? They didn't. All right, so the same thing that's going on here. It's the same game plan. It's not like they don't have no new game plan or nothing. They're using the same game plan. So as we can read about this in the early days, when these things start to pop off, don't just sit there and be like, oh, well, big bad China decided to attack little old Taiwan, and now America got to send their troops over there to go help out. You know, it's funny how, speaking on, you know, some of this American politics, as far as everybody wanting, you know, these so-called black people trying to vote for this nigga named Joe Biden, talking some, oh, we need Biden, he ain't racist, and Trump racist, and this and that, and Biden gonna help us out. Like, look, this nigga ain't sent you no kind of stimulus packages, he's sending all this money over to Ukraine. Now guess what's gonna happen? He's gonna start helping out these other countries while you over here losing your house, gas prices going up, grocery prices going up. But hey, it's all a plan and an agenda. But this is what these devils do, man. All right, you know, they words were smoother than butter, but war was actually in their heart. All right. It says Beijing criticized the statement, which is perceived as yet another instance of U.S. meddling. All right. Just like I said, the same thing that's going on in North and South Korea. All right. The same thing that's going on in Russia and Ukraine. All right. Over the past years, Washington has ramped up its support in Taiwan with the sale of advanced weapons to its military and signing the agreement that China sees as a form of recognition, as well as other steps. The U.S. Speaker Nancy Pelosi recently wanted to make a formal visit to Taiwan in April, but the plans were reportedly scrapped after she had tested positive for the situation. Both Washington and Beijing regularly conducts military missions near Taiwan. All right, so hey, you know, that's those provocations. Now you have another story that's in the news where let me see if I can grab it. It's at the bottom, where you have Russian Chinese military. Russia and Chinese military plans conduct joint flyovers, right? So again, like, if you have any kind of common sense, you know, as speaking for Taiwan, all right, why would you believe America when they say, look, man, if China get involved, we're going to step up to the plate, when you know that they didn't step up to the plate and send troops over to Ukraine when the Russian situation popped off. Now, who you think is allies with China? Even though, you know what I'm saying, China can pretty much hold their own, but who you think is allies with China? Who you think is going to step in? Look what you have in the same day with this here situation, all right? Russia and China conducting military drills together, man, all right? But you also have, let me just briefly touch on this other article real fast. You got some other little wickedness that's popping off in here. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't, you know, we can't even speak about that. But here's another one right here. All right. So there's another. You have another one of these stories. All right. But see, they postured as Americans and South Koreans retaliate against the North, when in fact the North is how do I say, demonstrating their stance against fighting up against the South. All right. But yeah, I think that was the article. But nevertheless, let's get into some scriptures here. All right. This is let me see if I want to grab this, or if I want to grab something else first. Matter of fact, we'll just read this on down and then we'll go and grab that. This is Habakkuk. We're not going to make this too long. Habakkuk 2, I'm going to start at verse 1. I'm going to read on down. It says, I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say, and what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I'm reproved. And Yahweh answered answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables that he may run that readeth it. All right. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right, let me grab this real fast. We'll come back to that. So going into Matthew chapter 24, verse 3, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, what shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So, a lot of these people, they like to, give me 1 second. A lot of people like to live off of this here statement here, Matthew 24:36. But of the day and the hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So, most of these Christians like to say, oh, nobody knows time when the end of the world is going to come, this and that. But hey, we were given, let me see, verse 32. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, you know that summer is nigh. So likewise, when you shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. Verily, I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. All right. So we read in verse 3, what are the signs, right? Let's jump up to verse 6. And you should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Matter of fact, let me read this a little different. Luke 21:9 says, but when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. So you got different wars and different commotions as far as like a lot of these joint military drills that's going forth. A lot of these different movements of troops and equipment and things like that that's going on, and what they call provocations of everything else. Are they over here arming Taiwan and everything? These are these different commotions that's taking place. But yet these are all the build up to get these troops and these people and equipment and things like that prepared for when the war, World War III starts to pop off, man. And it's also stirring up the blood of these different nations to actually, put that hatred into their heart, that final icing on the cake to go out to World War III, man. All right. Let me read that again. Verse 9, Luke 21:9 says, but when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So now let's go back to this here Habakkuk real fast. All right. Habakkuk 2:5 says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, all right, his different philosophies, his different doctrines, we're going to help out Taiwan and a situation and help out these other. We have to come to their aid. We have to help out these countries. We can't just let these things happen. But it's ironic, like I said, you have people at home that's starving, in your own country, that's living in tent cities, getting evicted, can't afford gas, can't afford groceries, can't get baby food and everything else like that. But getting still, you over here sending military aid. This military aid costs way more. America spends way more on a military budget than any other, than the next, 7 or 9 countries combined. All right. So damn, you spending all this money on your military aid, and a lot of your military aid you send to these other countries, man. For what? Just to stir up hatred and stir up beef with other nations, man. All right. You over here raising up your military budget to do what? To send weapons into Ukraine. What is that doing? Pissing off Russia, causing a war with Russia. You ramping up your military budget to send weapons to where? South Korea, which is doing what? Pissing off North Korea, which is in turn going to piss off China, because China's back in North Korea, man. They all on the same border, man. I mean, and again, if you look at what's going on, with the whole NATO expansion around Russia, which Russia is pissed off about, is because what? NATO is surrounding Russia, man. All right, and preparing for an attack. Well, when you look at the situation with the whole reason you got South Korea, how do I put it? The whole reason you have a country called South Korea and North Korea is because America went over there and divided up Korea. All right. In fact, before all of that, it was all just China to begin with. You look at a map, it's just a part of China. All right. It's just like if they was to come over here and, hijack hypothetically Florida. All right. And create that into 2 different countries. It's connected to the U.S. for one. And let's just say hypothetically China did was come over here and take all of Florida. All right, then all of a sudden back down on South Florida, Central to South Florida. They back down on that and say, we'll take this part and we'll leave the other part to, being backed by America. That's basically what they did over there. These are all Moabites in that area. But yet and still, what is America doing? Encroaching over there by their philosophies. Oh, we'll back you. We'll give you this here aid. You see what they're saying in Taiwan? Hey, we're not going to let this happen. We're going to step in. We're going to give y'all aid and this and that, even though that wasn't their stance beforehand. You got Biden that's over here, moving what they say, moving the goalposts, man. I'm like, all right, bro, you keep making these steps and these these steps, towards pushing these nations towards World War III. All right, you're gonna have to be ready to defend yourself, man. But we know how this all ends, where all these nations are gonna wind up hating America, man. All right, you see already how your allies are looking towards America as far as the situation with Russia and the trade with Russia. All right, how much more when you go over here and you piss off China? All right, you already see what's going on with the prices of everything nowadays. All right, but yet and still you want to cut China off, or we get 90% of the shit that we got here in America from China. All right, and then what do you think your allies is gonna do when you start messing up you sanction China, right? And then all of a sudden now they don't want to deal with you over that, man. All right. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire is hell, and as his death cannot be satisfied, but gathers unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So this is what he's doing. He's over in all these different nations. All right. Oh, we'll help y'all. We'll provide aid for y'all. We'll, you can stay up under our umbrella. We got you. We got you. But what is this? At what toll? At what cost is this doing for you, man? Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against you, a taunting proverb against you, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, and how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and shall awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booty unto them? All right, so hey, this is what these nations are going to want to do, and they're going to want up rearing up and coming back to bite you. It says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood and for the violence of the land and of the city and all that dwell therein. So, hey, they're going to wind up spoiling you. All right. Let me grab this and we'll close out in the book of Job. All right. Because like I was just speaking on, let me read this first. Job 18:7, the steps of his strength shall be straightened. His own counsel shall cast him down. For he is cast into a net by his own feet. He walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and the trap for him in the way. All right. So, hey, he's basically walking into his own booby trap. He's setting his own self up for failure. And again, like I said, look at what this conflict with Ukraine and Russia has done to America. Not just the American economy, the global economy, not just the economy. Look what it's done between the relationship between America and the rest of NATO, man. You got some nations trying to join NATO, and the other nations in NATO is like, nah, bro, don't do that. It's going to just piss these people off even more over in Russia. We can't afford to go to war, bro. Like, we can't even afford to be pissing Russia off right now because there's an energy crisis going on, and it's bankrupting all these other countries. All of America's allies is bankrupting America. You got these sanctions on Russia. Russia getting richer while all these other nations that's supposed to be putting these sanctions on Russia is getting poorer, man. All right, this is only negatively affecting you. But yet and still, you over here trying to affect Russia like this when it comes to the energy and when it comes to food. But now when you do the same thing in Taiwan, all right, or South Korea, when dealing with North Korea or dealing with China, and you cut China off, like I said, and go through your house and look at where all these products is being made at, man. Look at all the different so-called Chinese names that you got inside your house from Samsung and stuff like that. All these different companies and stuff like that that's being provided to you based off of what, China, man. All right, when they tell you about the shipping and everything else, oh, there's a backlog of shipping. What do you mean shipping? Where is it being shipped from? How come all the goods can't get none of the goods, can't get none of the microchips, can't get none of the new cars? Where is this shit being shipped from? Oh, it's being shipped from China? So if we even raise up the beef with China, that means we ain't gonna get nothing for real. We're gonna just be out here starving. So you really cutting off our supplier for what? Your own personal gain, for your own pride, man. All right, but hey, the pride of his heart has deceived him. All right, but this is what he's doing. He's setting his own trap, his own mark, man. All right, setting himself up for failure. But guess what? Let me keep reading this. It says, verse 11, terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet. His strength is hunger bitten and destruction is ready at his side. All right, so hey, let me keep reading. Verse 13, it shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terror. So look, when it's time for him, when these nations, like the Ukraine-Russia situation, when the war started popping off, America was like, well, we'll keep sending y'all weapons. We're not going to go over there and give y'all no fly zone. We're not going to send y'all no troops. But, hey, even sending weapons, what did Russia say? Anybody else that want to keep sending weapons, y'all going to feel the wrath too. All right, Russia's ready to push the button and ready to go to war with anybody that's helping them out like that, man. So how much more China, all right, when, you propping up little old Taiwan, what gain is it for you, man? All right, what are you really getting up out of these different things? There's always a deeper story, like how, Russia being a major energy provider to the globe and everything else like that. And Biden don't want to go to these electric cars and everything else like that, which would cut Russia off and ultimately bankrupt them. So it's a fight over energy and things like that, man. All right. But then you also have, with the trade in China and everything else like that, like, bro, like, you can't put these people into submission like that because this is their bread and their butter. If you take away their food, man, they're going to fight for it, man. Just like how they preparing you Americans out here where they take away your food, you start fighting for it, man. But ultimately, this is going to leave America out there to dry because, wow, this is not only hurting, you think these are hurting these nations like Russia. You think it's hurting nations like China. But what it's really doing is really hurting the global economies, all right? And it's also hurting America and their Western allies. All right. But then ultimately, this is with just the Russia-Ukraine situation. But how much more with China when China supplies the majority of the whole globe with all of their goods, man? All right. So it's not looking good, man. All right. This is going to be a prime reason for what your allies to turn their backs on you, man, and say, hey, this is the problem. Hold on. Let me finish off with that in Isaiah 24 and 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness, that destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All right, so, hey, man, once these nations realize that, hey, America is the one that is destabilizing this here globe, man. It ain't the fact that Russia decided to go and invade Ukraine. There was some shit behind that America had their hand in in that whole pot to do with all these things, man. It's not that China decided to just invade little old Taiwan. America has some shit to do with that. It's not that North Korea decided to sit there and just start lobbing missiles over the border to South Korea. America has something to do with that, man. Matter of fact, how about we take America out and we can all have peace on the globe, man? All right, this is what's going to turn America's allies on them and the rest of the globe on them, man. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord's will, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushua, Bahashim, Rakakudash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and never will. And citation, much love for you. I can't push this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.